And we're very delighted to welcome to the studio Danlei Wang, who is joining us from Los Angeles and who had the world premiere of her String Quartet Number 1, one of the movements, performed at no less of a venue than Carnegie Hall. Danlei, welcome to the program.
Hi, thank you, Steve.
So, a movement from your String Quartet Number 1, the fourth movement, Moderato con anima, was performed by the Lehner Quartet at Carnegie Hall. Was that your first trip to New York?
It was actually my second, but it was definitely better than the first because of this performance. That was really my highlight. My first trip was when I was, I think, 7 years old. Just, more of a traveling trip.
So this was really your first trip to New York City as a mature person.
Yeah.
And what are your impressions of New York?
I'd say New York has this kind of unique chaos, but also with an order to it. It's like, crossing the street, everybody kind of predicts when the light turns green and goes like 3 seconds early. But like even if there's cars turning, they always stop. And it's very impressive to see people interact in New York because, I feel like as someone who's from the suburbs, it's really easy to get lost in all the lights and the music and everything, but they don't.
It's hard to get lost on the streets because it's a grid, it's 34th, 35th, 36th Street and then all that. So even I can't get lost in New York, and I get lost everywhere else. Even in my own hometown where I grew up, I still get lost in Boston. Now, so walking around New York is one thing, but you walked into Carnegie Hall.
Yes.
Not as a member of the audience, not as a member just going to a concert. It was the world premiere of your composition, and what did that feel like?
It felt. I mean, it's hard to put into words. Always, it felt a bit surreal, because it's such an amazing venue, amazing acoustics, amazing performers, and honestly, I just felt so honored to be able to have this experience.
Did the Lehner get a chance to rehearse with you in presence? Did they do any rehearsal while you were there?
We had a quick sound check, yeah.
Uh-huh. So did they have questions for you about how to interpret the piece?
Definitely. And I just kept telling them more angry, more angry. And eventually I think it just became sort of a joke between us in the best way possible. And at the concert, they were very angry when they played my piece.
Now, it's interesting you say angry because I'm going to read from the notes, which I believe you wrote. The Quartet Number 1, the fourth movement, forms the emotional apex of the work. It lies between the ethereal reflection of the third movement and the funereal march of the fifth, perhaps like a day moving from golden sunrise to blistering noon to heavy night, or like a phoenix rising, soaring, and finally burning away. Where's the anger in that?
I think it's in the way the piece is executed, because I'm just going to take the phoenix as an example. When it rises, it's burning, right? And I'd say that the burning for my interpretation would be like a sort of anger or passion.
Mm-hmm. Where does the anger come from within you? Why are you expressing anger?
The quartet asked me this question too, actually. At the time, I replied math homework, but I think it's not precisely that. I don't think that I was specifically angry when I was writing this piece, which is interesting. But I think often as a composer, you also have to be an actor when you're writing your pieces, because in order to make a compelling journey for the audience, you need to really exaggerate every single little thing you're feeling, you've ever felt, and then put it into music, which is personally very hard, but also very rewarding.
Mm-hmm. When you compose, do you compose at the piano? do you rely on the piano to help figure out the chords and things like that, or do you more just sit down and write on the paper?
It really depends on how I'm feeling. For me, composition is like a day by day kind of thing. If I'm writing like a piano piece, obviously I'll write with a piano, but orchestral pieces, chamber, I usually just sit down and start writing.
Now, your pieces have been performed by all kinds of ensembles, including the World Youth Wind Symphony. What piece did you write for them?
It was actually this summer. I wrote them. It was pretty short. It was called Crusade, and a completely different style from this piece that I wrote, the string quartet for the Leonard Quartet. It was about, well, a crusade and kind of the glory, and also like kind of how messed up it is to be like trying to kill people based on their culture and their religion.
So the crusade was referring to a religious crusade?
Yes.
Yeah, I see, yeah. Yeah, that can be pretty messy. And now you're also the first prize winner of the Music Teachers Association of California. What composition won the prize?
Cello Concerto Number 1.
Really, a cello concerto?
Yes.
Did you perform it?
No, unfortunately, no. I was actually originally going to perform it with Orchestra Manhattan, but it was an earlier work, and this year I thought that the string quartet better represented who I am as a composer.
Tell us about the cello concerto. Was that a full-blown concerto in 3 movements, or?
The third movement I'm still writing right now because, it's a big endeavor, but the first and second movements are done, yes.
And it was the first and second movements were enough to win the Music Teachers Association prize.
Yes.
Wow. So they gave you the prize without the work even being complete.
Yeah.
Must be a very impressive piece.
I suppose so.
And then you also won the 2025 ASCAP Morton Gould Young Composers Award. Wow.
No, just a semifinalist.
Well, that's fine. What piece was that?
String quartet. So this piece.
Oh, the same. I see.
Yes.
Now I'm a little amazed to read that you currently serve as the LA Phil's Young Composition Fellow for the current academic year.
It's not really. It's a youth development program from the LA Phil.
Right.
And it's around like 15 young composers. We get interviewed, we apply, and then if we do get accepted, we get to work with a bunch of cool people and really develop our skills. So yeah, it's really fun.
Have you been accepted?
Yes, thankfully.
Wow. How many students were accepted? How many young people?
Currently 15.
Oh, 15.
Yes.
Wow. Well, that's pretty amazing. So, do you think are you going to write for orchestra?
That's actually what we're currently working on. I don't think it's going to be read by the LA Phil itself, but I'm sure that the other orchestra will also be great.
And what piece are you working on for the fellowship?
It's a bit complicated because the fellowship encourages us to draft and think and kind of write out little ideas first. But my main idea was to write a piece based on like human connection with nature and kind of what we're doing to Earth, because I read somewhere that global warming will be irreversible by 2026. And that made me really sad. And also recently, a cellist that I really admire, his name is Gauthier Capuçon, you might know him.
Yeah.
He released an album called Gaia, which chronicles kind of like all the wonders of Earth, like the mountains and the forests. And that also really inspired me.
Wow. I hate to tell you this, but it already is irreversible.
Yeah, I pretty much figured if it's irreversible in 2026, and that's next month. So
Yeah, next month. Suddenly, it'll go up in flames. No, the only thing we can do now is try to halt
down,
the emissions, and we're not doing it. But we're not doing it, though. it keeps going up and up and up. It's the parts per million or billion in the atmosphere of the CO2, and it's not a very good scenario. So how did you, getting back to writing for orchestra, you have to know the ranges of the different instruments, and they're keyed differently. You have a B-flat clarinet, and you have to do this and that, and the French horns, and then you have the viola clef. I could never figure that out. That's a strange clef. And so how did you master all of that? And maybe you really don't think you've mastered it, but you clearly know how to write for an orchestra, and it's always struck me as so daunting. How do you do that?
It is pretty daunting, and I agree. I wouldn't consider myself a master of it, but I think the biggest thing that helped is actually playing in an orchestra, and also listening a lot to, the LA Phil, for example, or just my favorite recordings on Spotify. And I think it really gets you a sense of like what's going on, how the instruments interact, like sonically, like kind of the stereo effects of what you do. And in addition to obviously, learning the ranges, I kind of cheat. I use ChatGPT to search up the ranges a lot, but it does help a lot. So, yeah.
What composers do you most admire for their use of the orchestra?
Oh, totally Mahler.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Any contemporary composers that you admire for the way they use the orchestra?
I think this is a tough question, but I'd say I have two composers in mind. Matthias Pincher, you might know him. He's a German composer and conductor. Or maybe John Adams. Yeah. So
right.
These two. Yeah.
And do you admire any of the earlier composers, like, for example, Rimsky-Korsakov was clearly a master of the orchestra. That you can say his orchestration was incredible.
Yes, absolutely.
And he had a student by the name of Stravinsky who knew how to handle an orchestra pretty well too.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. And now you said what grade are you in, Danlei?
10th, sophomore.
10th grade. And what do you see in the future? Would you like to go to a music school and study composition at that level?
I think even though I have wanted to study composition at a higher level, or film score, or, cello performance, I'm also really interested in other things. Like, I don't think I'm quite ready to just, give up math or science when I, get to the college level. So I think I might still want to do some sort of double major with, say, environmental science.
Yeah, well, I think you can probably do that. And maybe you can combine the two by writing pieces that do reflect your interest in the environment. Mm-hmm. And maybe you can write a piece which will figure out a way to get all the CO2 down from the atmosphere.
Maybe.
Yeah, you never know.
Plants, I don't know.
Magic, something like that. Well, I have a feeling you'll do well in whatever you choose to do, and I look forward to following your career, and I hope you get into the school you'd like to go to and study whatever you want, but I hope you'll keep up your composition, because it sounds like you really have a flair for composing, and we wish you the best with that. It's been a great talking with you, Danlei, and I look forward to seeing you someday.
You too. Thank you so much.
Take care.